Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here. As you can hear, I'm a little bit ill. I've caught this cough cold that's going round, but we are actually not at home this weekend. We are at the Cheltenham Literature Festival. Both myself, my husband and my daughter are all going to various different events. So I thought I'd bring you along with me and let you see what it's all about. So let's go. Hi there, so hopefully you saw a little bit about or a little bit of what the grounds look like for the festival. It's now sort of late in the afternoon on our first day here. We're just here for the weekend. I've been to two events with Matilda which have been really lovely. We went to the Big Book of Beasts this morning, which was a really lovely talk from the man who has illustrated and done this book on beasts and giving you sort of information about them. They got the kids drawing their own beasts and that was very lovely. Then we went to see a storybook for children about spiders, and it's been written by Alison Steadman, who as you might know from Gavin and Stacey, and it was just really lovely. She read the book, she's very charismatic and Matilda really loved that, and she's got a bit of a thing for spiders anyway, so she really enjoyed hearing about the spiders, and she can now draw a convincing spider, which is excellent. And then I've just been to my first event, which was called The Realms of Fantasy, and it was Melinda Salisbury who wrote The Sin Eater's Daughter, which is now a trilogy, Alice Broadway who did Ink, and also Philip Kerr who did Railhead. I haven't read Railhead. I've read Alice Broadway's book Ink, and I've also read The Sin Eater's Daughter, and I have to admit, when I first read The Sin Eater's Daughter, I think they gave it 3 stars. I was pretty much sort of on the border with it. I wasn't sure how I felt, and it just goes to show that it's worth going to these things. It's worth it for authors because yeah, I'm going to pick up the trilogy and I'm going to read the first book again, and I'm going to give it a go because I don't know, I feel more excited about it now having seen them talk. So it was really interesting to hear them talk about their books, their writing process. Melinda especially is very charismatic, and very interesting hearing how she builds a world completely, you know. She knows exactly what is happening in that world down to the minutest detail, which I think is wonderful. So I'm off to my next one, and I will come back and chat to you after that and let you know a bit more. Hi guys, so as you can see I'm back at the apartment, and it's actually Sunday morning. I didn't get a chance to film yesterday after my final 2 talks that I went to, so I thought I would just talk about them now and do a little mini book haul because there were books being bought. I went to a YA panel, and on the panel were 4 authors. 2 are co-authors of one of my favourite books of a couple of years ago, and that was Lobsters, and that was Lucy Iverson and Tom Ellen, and I really wanted to see them because I absolutely loved Lobsters. Their second book was a little bit more disappointing for me. It just didn't fit, it didn't feel right to me with their sort of writing style, so I was really keen when I heard about Freshers to give them another go because Lobsters was so good. It was a 5-star read and one of my best books, I think it was of 2015. I'll have to check. So I wanted to go and hear them talk, and there was also 2 authors there that I was really interested in hearing more about. Anna Day, who has written a book called Fandom, which is due out in January, and this is about a group of sort of fans in their fandom. I think they're at sort of like a Comic-Con cosplaying, and they get dragged into their fandom, a little bit like Dungeons and Dragons.
And the final was a girl called Gemma Fowler, and she'd written a book which I hadn't heard about, and it's called Moondust. And from what I can gather, this is a book set on the moon where a sort of big corporation has got sort of the monopoly on this product called Lumite, I think it is, which is obviously like a fossil fuel or something. And our main character, Aggie, is a miner for this company, and I think there's sort of hidden things in her past and various things, and it just sounded really good. The panel was really, really good. Chicken House, there was two ladies from Chicken House who were moderating the panel, had done a really good job at making it interesting. Firstly, we were sat at tables and there were cupcakes, always a bit of a bonus. But secondly, they'd really thought about the different people's books and made it interesting to hear the conversations. So they started out with Tom and Lucy, and as it's about freshers, the first week of university set in the UK in a York-ish university, which is where Tom and Lucy went together. They brought up photos of all the panellists Freshers Week, and they discussed what they were doing in the photos and how it was for them. And then similarly, when it was time for Anna to talk about fandom, they had all of them talking about them dressed up, and there was photos of them dressed up in their different fandoms that they enjoyed. And it just made a really light conversation starter to keep the conversation going. I really loved it, so much so that I picked up all three of their books and got them signed. So the first I picked up was Freshers by Tom, Ellen and Lucy Iverson. I can't wait. Well, in fact, I haven't waited because I was so excited to finally get this that I picked it up last night, which I think is a good sign. But, you know, I wanted to pick it up straight away. I was just like, no, I'm going to dive into this one. I'm really feeling it. And so I went with those feelings, even though I'm in the middle of reading another book. I've already read about 70 pages, and so far I'm feeling rather nostalgic for university. It's very much my university experience. It's just really good. I've not had the laugh out loud moments yet that I had in Lobsters, but there's definitely something pulling me through. It's a brilliant premise, and I really love the idea, and I really love how honest it is. And I think I was the same about Lobsters. It feels very real and very true to life, and I feel with these sort of stories in YA, we generally get the university or the college experience in America, which I have no parents or relationship to. I have no concept of what is real and what is sort of fictionalized. And so it's really nice to have it set in the UK because I can relate. I can remember going to university, that university experience and how it was for me. And so far, it's pretty nostalgic and I'm loving it. So next, we were really lucky. They were giving away proofs of Anna's book, which is out in January. So I got a proof copy of Fandom, and I'm definitely going to be picking this up soon. As I say, it just sounded really good. And this one I think is particularly interesting, as well as Tom and Lucy, which I didn't know, but both of these authors, or these three authors, were picked up via Chicken House's Times competition. I believe in collaboration with the Times newspaper, they do a writing competition where the winner gets a £10,000 book deal with Chicken House, I believe. And they were saying that is still open until the 18th of December, so any budding authors out there, just to let you know. And both of these sets of authors had come through that. And so this is Anna's book that came through that. And it was interesting, she said she'd written this short story called The Gallows Dance, which had gone in for a competition. And then that was the actual fandom, like the story, the fantasy story, which is the story that the cosplayers end up going into. And then it was then worked on and elaborated after the fact. And she was given some ideas of having people from the present go into that time, and that expanded the story and changed it quite significantly. I also think it's interesting hearing about the different authors writing. Anna has small children. I believe she works full time, and she writes on a weekend every fortnight. She's divorced, and her ex has the children for the weekend every fortnight, and she writes exclusively then. So quite bitty, but it was interesting to hear her process on that, and lots of post-it notes were mentioned. And then I know that they were saying that Tom is a freelance writer, and Lucy is a school librarian, and so they write when they can. And when they start writing their book, because they do write all of their books in this boy-girl sort of alternating chapters, so Tom tends to write the boys and Lucy writes the girls, and then they collaborate and discuss. And because they write in that way, before they start a book, they just go for these walks and they sort of chat about what it is they're going to write about, which I think is really lovely. And for this one, apparently Lucy reread her university diaries. And then Gemma, she came to hers in a slightly different way. I believe she was writing it for a number of years before it got picked up. She went the traditional route with an agent, and hers also got picked up at the same time for a book, but also got a production film deal at the same time. Now, I don't know from what the conversation that was happening whether that just got put on the back burner by the production company, but it was interesting to hear that because of it getting picked up in both at the same time. There was a lot more notes and a lot more edits from a lot more different people coming through for her book. So I'm really intrigued by this one. It's really beautiful, actually. And Chicken House always write on the back sort of things about the book, and it says thrilling sci-fi adventure, which is my perfect type of sci-fi, really. So I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into this one. It's really beautiful. So yeah, that was that talk. It was really good. I'm so pleased I went. And then the next talk that I ended up going to was called Fiction at 7. There was a glass of wine involved, which was a great draw. And also there was 2 authors, and these authors were Megan Hunter, who has written The End We Start From, and American War by Omar El Akkad. These are adult literary fiction books, and probably not books that I think I would pick up personally, but definitely ones that I think people would enjoy. The End We Start From is quite a short novel. It's 17,000 words, I believe Megan said, and it follows the story of a young mother. She's just given birth and a catastrophic flood happens, and so it's about early motherhood and the experience of this dystopian world where this flood has occurred, catastrophically causing loads of people to become refugees. What's interesting, I think, about this story is that there's no names. We're never told the main character's name, and all other characters are just called by initials. And there's also this interspersing of rewritten creation myths throughout the prose to break up this sort of monologue, inner monologue, I believe, of the main character. So that did sound very interesting, but from the reading I just got the feeling that perhaps it was more on the literary side than I would generally go for. And then Omar's story was really interesting. Omar is a journalist and has covered things like the war in Afghanistan and Guantanamo Bay, and his book is again set in this time in 2077, so set in the future, about a time where there is another civil war in America. This second civil war has occurred, and his book follows that. And again, that was one that I was tempted to pick up and still I'm a bit undecided, but again, I feel like maybe I don't know enough about the American history to get the similarities between the civil war that happened and to understand that side of it. I don't know if I know enough about American politics for it to make sense to me, so that's one that I'm going to sit and percolate on whether I'm going to get. So this morning there's 3 talks. One I'm going to with Matilda, which is Sir Charlie's Stinky Socks, so I'm looking forward to that. My husband is going to one on Brexit, and I then am going to a Harry Potter one, so I'm really excited about that. So I will check back in with you later and let you know how we get on.
We've just been to see Sir Charlie's Stinky Socks, and it was so good. The author was really, really good. She put on a whole show. She did puppets and audience participation and giant life-size cutouts of her book. What did we think of it?
I think it was amazing. Me and the song went great because it went rumble, rumble, boom, bass, and it had 4 beats to it.
It did, you're a clever girl. And what was the song about at the end that you really liked?
It was actually
Bean soup, wasn't it? And what happens when you eat bean soup?
it makes you
It
I
does.
didn't know, but Granddad ate a lot of beans and he eating too many carbs.
Okay, that's enough of that. Sure, Grandad wants that shared with the world. Anyway, it was really good. Best one yet. Okay, so I wanted to wrap off this vlog. We're home and we had a really nice time. I think we enjoyed all the talks. Matilda's favourite was definitely Sir Charlie Stinky Socks, as out of the children was mine. It was so good. The author really got everybody going and did sort of like a puppet show almost, and had loads of props and various different things, and it just got the kids really enthused about the book, which I thought was amazing and brilliant. And definitely got me and Matilda thinking. I think Matilda has now decided she wants to be an illustrator and she wants Mummy to write a book. First we'll have to come up with a good idea, but we might do it for fun as a bit of a project together, just to do some drawing and write a story together, because I think it's wonderful that her imagination has been captured. My final talk I went to was a Harry Potter one, and it was really nice to hear people talking about Harry Potter, and hearing about the British Library, which is having a Harry Potter History of Magic exhibition, which I believe starts on the 20th of October, and it sounds like it's going to be brilliant. There's going to be loads of really interesting artefacts. It sounds as if what they're going to be doing is taking the different sort of lessons from Harry Potter, so like potions and divination and things like that, and looking at the history of them as well, so bringing documents to talk about divination throughout the history and different cultures, and it just sounds really interesting, so I'm definitely going to try and get myself there. I loved it. It's been great. I definitely will go back next year if I can. It's really great, even if it's only for a weekend, to just get down there and go and see some talks. I definitely recommend, if you haven't been to a literature festival before or been to a talk, it's really worth going, because it's so much fun and you get to meet other bookish people that like the same things as you, and you get to hear some of your favourite authors talk about their books. So anyway, I'm off to carry on reading Freshers, because I'm really stuck into it now, and I look forward to telling you my thoughts on it soon. So I hope you've all had a good weekend too, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.